China's new envoy marks shift from wolf warrior tactics. Xi Jinping's new man in Canberra will be Xiao Qian, China's current ambassador to Indonesia. The Australian can reveal that Mr. Qiao's nomination by Beijing to become ambassador to Australia has been agreed to by the Morrison government. He is said to be smart and tough, but is not yet known as one of Beijing's wolf warrior diplomats. This is surely a good sign, Gem, that relations may be potentially thawing between us and our northern neighbour.
Maybe, hopefully, potentially, fingers crossed, paws crossed. Look, it's not a bad sign, and I think the change in itself is a positive move. It's been, as everybody knows, a really fraught period of time in our relations with China. I don't necessarily think this is going to materially do much in terms of the root cause of that conflict. Diplomacy is, well, I like to say diplomacy is a bit of an ass, as in the donkey kind of ass. But again, this chap is coming in at a time where I think fresh eyes, fresh ears, and certainly a fresh breeze is needed in that space.
Yeah, indeed. It's going to be really interesting to see. Look, surely he will land with some aplomb and have definitely another press conference. It's going to be very interesting. But that's all well and good, because there's a really important story on the front by Olivia Casely. States told to share the NDIS load. States and territories will need to take more responsibility for funding the National Disability Insurance Scheme, with the minister in charge warning that the program was not sustainable and never intended to function as a welfare scheme for life. NDIS Minister Linda Reynolds told The Australian on Wednesday the original federal-state agreements and funding arrangements for the scheme were based on very optimistic projections that did not match reality. What doesn't match reality is my absolute fury at how much of a cluster this sector is. And I'm positive and I'm optimistic that I think that the Senator Reynolds, she's, you know, like you say, fresh eyes, she's trying her best to fix the mess that this sector is in. I speak to myself, we speak to patients at NDIS and then providers. The left hand doesn't talk to the right hand.
Yeah.
What do you think that this will have any cut through?
Do I think? I'm not sure is the short answer. I hope. The bottom line is it's government's job to administer these things in a way that the end user doesn't lose the will to live by engaging with the sector. And unfortunately, like you know, I've spoken to people who are the end user of the NDIS system, and the intent, everybody applauds the intent, but somehow between the intent and execution, it's like the most disorganised, dysfunctional people on the planet have got hold of it and gone, let's see how difficult we can make this. Yes. And I only have a point of reference with the aged care system with my late father, and I wrote about this with the West Australian at the time. He was assessed as level 4 ACAT, high dependency, and you know, qualifying for a level 4 package of support, and the funding support came the day of his funeral. He waited 2 years for funding support, and it came the day of his funeral. So that is government. That is the inefficiency of government. And for those who don't think that systems like the NDIS or the aged care support system need to be efficient, I give you my family's example, and I promise you we are just one of hundreds of thousands in Australia. And
it really concerns, and it should be of a concern specifically to the government and whoever may be incoming in 2022. Our population is only getting older. Baby rates have completely fallen off.
We're not having kids.
No, we're not having kids.
Get to it, Clarkie.
Make sure that we're looking after our most vulnerable and our most valuable assets.
Totally.
It's just shocking. So I look forward to, hopefully this gets a bit of cut through on Talkback, because we know that is then going to have reverberations through party room meetings.